We're here at the Glug or Studio Output offices.
Yeah.
Ian, who we've known for some time now. We've spoken at a few Glug events.
Yeah, always brilliant.
Thank you very much, Glug.
I reckon Ian is fed up of talking to us. We've been talking for like 2 hours right now.
No, it's good. It's good.
Do you want to give, because you gave a great explanation of the purpose around Glug and the Glug events, what that is?
Well, look, I need to be honest, it's been going a long time, and we've sort of, in my industry, the classic thing is sort of come up with an idea, retrofit the strategy around it, right? And I have to admit that with Glug, that has been taken to a new level. So for 8 years, it was just us getting pissed in the pub and enjoying creativity and meeting all our mates and all that different stuff. But then, as it's exploded into sort of 40 cities or whatever it's in now, we're starting to put the bones on while we've done it. And actually, it all makes sense, It's not, it's sort of been made up along the way. Does that make sense?
Don't most successful things, like truly successful things, though, they come from a place of just almost
being
ignorance,
genuine,
isn't it?
I
Yeah,
suppose,
it's
right?
like you don't know what it is you're doing, but
Exactly.
it works itself out.
Yeah, I think like the format for the events is a bit like that. It's like it's taken 8 years to make them brilliant, and now because they're brilliant, when we scale them, they all work.
Yeah.
But if we'd have taken it in 1 year in and tried to scale it, it probably wouldn't have worked.
So for everybody, what is Glug? Just say.
Glug's it's a bit like a very, very fucking trendy version of TED Talks, right? For a sort of younger, cooler creative community. They're normally held in like pubs and clubs and bars all around the world. And yeah, basically it's a mixture of meeting people that work in your sort of industry. We have this thing called networking, which is basically like you don't have any formal networking, but you might meet someone to work with and collaborate with and talk, or you might just turn up with your mates and like just spend the night with your mates and watch the talk. So as well as the networking, you have this thing like you have basically inspirational talks. Probably have 5 of those in the evening on a stage. It's a bit like a sort of rock gig, most of them.
It's a bit like an event. When I came to the very first one,
Yeah.
Steve spoke at, it was beers, not coffee.
Yeah.
Bit of
I mean,
crowd
yeah, the
and
one we do at Cargo, I mean, that is a
Cargo,
dump,
that's it.
right? And like we do it in their sort of gig room on the stage. But the weird thing is there's so many nuances to running those sorts of events. Like, it's really expensive for people to hire a conference centre, right? $5 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cheap to hire the back room of like a nightclub and then spend 60 quid getting 150 seats. But it's already got all the AV and it's got all the projectors.
Yeah.
So it's got that bit of a rough and ready feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone is much better to talk to when they've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
I did a Glug in the day the other week in Leeds. It was a tough crowd at 12 o'clock.
Is that we were going to come to that? We didn't
Oh
know.
yeah. It was a bit tough. It was like I was banging a few jokes in, and it was like, but a normal Glug would have been like, we'll be themselves. It would have been easy. Yeah.
It's strange because I've been following TED for a long time, and I was introduced to Glug not that long ago. And the thing about TED is it's getting so much heat for just not being authentic. It's militant. It's very dictatorial over the people they get, and they've almost got too big. They've lost what their grassroots. They've lost what their purpose was to some extent, and that's the perception I get from it now.
Yeah, totally. I think the thing is, when do you think TED started? When would you think it started?
10 years ago?
Yeah,
1982 or something.
It's been
like
around.
that.
Yeah.
And so, like, you suddenly go, Jesus, that's been around. We were doing a bit of research, and like, oh my God, it's been around. The problem is, it's become an event that used to be filmed, and it was for the people that went to the event. And now it's just become like an audience there for a TV show, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about the millions of people watching. That's what my perception. And unfortunately, they're very militant about it's 18 minutes and everyone gets coached before they do it. And it's difficult to make it feel authentic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like some of our talks are utterly brilliant and hilarious because there's madmen on stage.
Yeah.
And some talks, the occasional one, it's like, oh, this isn't going great, you know. So
what's the funniest talk you've ever heard? There's got to be some absolute nutters.
Mr. Bingo is genuinely very funny.
What's Mr. Bingo?
So have you heard of his hate mail campaign?
No, go.
Okay, so Bingo is like an illustrator,
Right.
And he's a fucking funny guy. He's worth following on social. He's released his own book that called Hate Mail. So basically, he was pissed on Twitter one night, and he basically said to someone, you know what, if whoever pays me a $5, I'll send you an insult. I'll illustrate an insult. And he's the type of stuff he does is quite scratchy, pencil stuff. Yeah. So he sent like about 40 or 50 of his sort of followers said, yeah, I'll give you a $5. So he sent them things like, fuck you, Oliver, piss off Alex, you smell like shit, right? And anyway, but he's super creative and funny. I'd call him like third influencer, third comedian, third sort of illustrator. He's just great talented guy. So anyway, he thought, yeah, this is quite good. So he basically took himself off for 2 weeks to sort of on the coast. And all these people had paid him a $5. And he basically sent them a hate mail in the post. So he bought a load of postcards. So if you can see them all online, they're massive. So basically for a $5, he would post you an insanely insulting illustration thing. So he'd be like, Oliver, your cat smells of piss. And they're really fucking funny. You should have a look. So he did talk all about this. He went on to release a book. Like some of the things that he did, like he went to Penguin Books and did a book deal. And they were basically like, yeah, we're really interested. So when he left the meeting, went home, sent Penguin Books a postcard saying, I fucking hate you, this was the worst meeting of my life, to see if they got it, and they were like, we fucking love it. So it's really, really good.
So he's got a book now that's all about hate mail.
It's called Hate Mail, the book. And basically it's just all the postcards he's ever done, insulting people.
That's funny, Chris, that's an ultimate Christmas present.
Yeah.
It's like dodgy uncle.
So he did brilliant. He kickstarted that campaign. So he's been a really good speaker, really, really funny guy, and he talks a lot of Glug.
That's good. That's good. So Glug, the creative champion of the world, is the tagline.
Yeah.
Trying to bring together and learn from all the biggest, best creatives out there.
Yeah.
What would you say? The story about how you started it was quite interesting. I found when you wrote.
Yeah. So if I tell you where we've ended up, we're in 40 cities around the world. Yeah. 2 years ago we were in like 4 or 5. And we're basically, the reason we say that it's creative champion of the world is we want to grow it in lots of different cities around the world. We want to be in 300 cities in a couple of years. That's really the aim. The reason we started it is totally different. I moved my business. I came down to London, set up the agency. I went to a load of really awkward networking events with like 6 or 7 people in a room.
Stand up.
Yeah. Badges, shit badges. Oh, what do you do? Yeah, I've got my own like one-man band, editing. You know, it's just awful.
Do you want to buy some pens?
And then like, you know, I forced networking terribly. So I think I went out with Nick, who's another co-founder of Glug, having a chat in a pub, and we were basically like, let's do an event where our mates can come that are all influential in the creative industries, and we'll either talk about work or we won't, blah blah blah. And so it started off at 25 people and 50 and 75. Then it started to decline. Everyone was like, it's just a piss up in the pub, you know, what's going on? So that's when we started to bring in the speakers, and I think we did an exhibition at one, and it suddenly got to like 600, 800 people. The biggest one in London we've done is about 1,200 people at the House of Bands. We don't like to do the big ones, they're too much ball ache. But, so that's sort of how it's sort of started and why we did it, and then people just love it. Yeah. So that's why we keep
people
it.
like to talk though, don't they? It's a platform.
Yeah.
I think like you're playing on human behaviours. God, I like to talk. Alex likes to talk.
Yeah. Oliver, more so.
More so me. we were doing a pitch the other day, and often I speak quite a lot. And there was a bit. I said the other day, we did it today. And Alex is saying to me, I bet this is really bothering you because you're not talking that much. I had like a little bit at the beginning. So you're dying to jump in, and I was like, so waiting.
I could see him in the physical.
Have you got like a safe word that you use when he's talking?
Kicks me in the table.
when he's talking too much, have you got like a sort of turtle or whatever that you say?
That's a good idea.
It's like a sort of safe word for you to start.
Well, it's weird because we're going through these agency pictures at the minute, and we've done, probably in 3 weeks we've done a lot of them, and these are big formal evenings where you've got 40 minutes to prepare to check the audio, all the Zula that we'll have to go through. And the funny thing is, you get to them, and we've been the last pitches of the day every time.
Yeah, it's the hardest
So it's
part. I think
graveyard shift.
everyone's been through 3 or 4 agencies speaking at them
We
for say
show
2 hours.
we show with 200 pages worth of
They-
material.
yeah,
and they go,
that is
oh, I hate you.
Yeah, but they've got
Be first or last is the thing, I
Yeah, go on
That's
about
a good motto. Be first, I'll be last.
just don't be in the middle.
What would you say is the most interesting thing you've learned from being involved in Glug so far?
I think it's quite nice. Like for me, I run my agency every day. We're basically helping people to sell stuff to other people.
Yeah.
And I think it's genuinely interesting to be involved in a business that is doing something good for the creative industries. So it's a bit of a sort of perfect circle of like everyone rises up the ranks, then they talk or they host, then they give back to the community.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why that can't become a sort of monetised business along the way and help people out, because there's a real gap in the market for that. And I really enjoy that, and actually probably through working in the agency world, I'd love to not have to work with clients, you know. That's amazing. Like, get to a point where you've got like an audience that love what you do. Like Bingo, going back to him, he basically made a decision last year. He released a rap video and released his book and did all this stuff, and he realised that he could be an artist instead of having to ever work for a brand anymore. So all he does is create his own IP and sells it to his sort of his community, right? And I think Glug, that's essentially the long-term aim with them.
Well, you're a hub, you're an incubator for interesting people. I always find this fascinating. There's like failed comedians, this guy called Wheeler Walker. Have you ever heard of him? So he does country music, but it's super controversial. So he's a comedian, but he has this persona. He's a bit like, what's he called? Francis, the guy who plays Keith Lemon.
Right.
So it's like him, he has a persona, and he genuinely goes on podcasts, he goes on interviews, and he's been like #1 in the country charts in the US. And he just does these really controversial, amazing music. He's a musician. There's this crazy music, but his lyrics are hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say what.
You should get on.
And you like him, why?
Yeah.
His music's pretty good. Like, I don't like country music, but it's like raw, earthy. It's got that real sort of southern Tennessee thing going on, you know, that southern country. But it's when I say hilarious, but his music videos. So what he does these creative things where he'll sort of shoot a video, hire a cast that no one knows, so he'll get a load of old people in an old town in the West, and he's talking about sucking dicks, and it's like really going left field to all these old people and filming.
That bloke in the 90s in Britain that was from Middlesbrough. He's like a modern day version of him.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think he's just been banned from everything.
Well, you know, he was in the press recently, wasn't he?
Oh, he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to work out is how we've gone from Glug to your
It always happens like this.
So because creativity, because you mentioned, do you reckon it's declining? Because for me personally, growing up, you're taught. Well, the school I went to, you're taught to pass an exam. So creativity wasn't the forefront.
Do you know what?
Or taught really, like graphic design wasn't. It was people's passions and hobbies that they do maybe outside of work, and it didn't really have that forefront. It wasn't an option, one of the forefront options that people did.
And that's why the education system is totally outdated, and there's
Yeah.
not enough coding, and there's not enough all this stuff. I mean, I think, weirdly, right, so my wife is a lawyer, we're like chalk and cheese, right? So she works in that industry, and I work in this industry. Creativity, for years and years and years, isn't that well paid, and people do it for the love, right?
Yeah.
If you think about 20 years in the future, right, when AI comes in and basically everyone's out of jobs in normal traditional industries, we're in the last industry that are going to get taken over by the
robots.
The robots,
Yeah.
right?
It can't.
So I think, if anything, the creative industry is like where the boom's going to happen.
Definitely.
Because in law, like all of the research jobs are getting machine learning, they're all getting all the different stuff. So actually, you know, that's why we need to be in it, boys.
Yeah.
I think about. For
It's
me,
where the money's going to be in 10 years.
It's coming.
I'm just waiting.
you know, for me though, the thing about the creative industry is I love the fact how it's not sterile and there's not this fakeness. We love walking into you, and even there's that element of it in the marketing world.
Yeah.
We go in and you'll hear people pitch and you'll talk to people, often on the client side, and it's a lot of fallacies and a lot of bullshit gets thrown around. But you meet someone like you and you just say it as it is.
Yeah. But I think we're all involved slightly in the whole marketing. You know, that's fine.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's necessarily evil, and actually, it's more than that. Actually, you know, I believe a great advert sells good things and makes people happy at the same
100%.
time, right? So that's fine. And like, we're never going to be artists, I don't think. We're not quite in that thing. But what is interesting in the whole your world of sort of influencers and creating sort of communities and stuff, you can create your own audience for your own properties, and then
So sell your products down your own media.
Yeah. And that's where it's sort of like getting very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the new age of media. It's what we always speak about, especially in office, because you can build a big following. You have a product which people follow you for, whether it's sport, art,
which you probably found along the way, what your niche is, while you built the audience.
Exactly. And that's where you're always going to spend more of your time every day, at night times, the weekends. And then if you can sell a product, whether it's a t-shirt, designs, through that, like the bingo,
Yeah.
I feel that's going to be the future. You're going to see a lot more people popping up by themselves, not wanting to just work
basically,
around
it's like you don't need a publishing company anymore.
No.
You don't really need a media agency anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you just need someone that gets you into that audience, and then they know their audience the best. You know, whenever I've worked with you, I take your advice on what's going to work on the channel because it works far better than me saying, "Hey, can you just
do this, that, and
And
that."
like bodge my campaign?"
And we're really not the creative people within our business.
No, I'm just thinking about you as an agency.
Yeah.
You know.
I was going to say, and like the guys, we're slightly out of touch from platforms, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the young people. That's why we hire young. That's why the average age keeps getting younger.
I was in the office. I was in the office late last night. I'm walking round. There's like 4 people in the office, and this is their job. Bear in mind, they're sticking chat lines on Jenga boxes, and they've been doing that for 3 hours, and they were getting pissed. And that was their job. They're getting paid to do this. Bear in mind, I don't even know what was going on, and they came around to me and went, "You look stressed. Is you having a good time?" Yes, I am stressed.
It was great content, really good content.
So what's it like running such a big agency of so many young people?
Yeah. The challenge is coming from Virgin, which was traditionally older. People are a lot more stable in terms of there isn't as many emotional problems. There's as many arguments. No, but it's just a natural fact because you learn, you grow. There's not so many senior characters for you to lean on, which like we wish there was more
sort of
people or us, or because I'd love to give people more attention. But there's just not the time. If that makes sense, which is the harsh reality.
And you don't want to be spinning people out as well. Like yeah, it's tough. I think it must be really interesting because people are like,
I think
first job. Probably loads of people are like, "Fuck, can barely make it in on time," and you know, whatever. And you must have to almost reinvent how you praising people and whatever else.
The biggest shock for me is the people. I know Gen Z young people get around, but I've worked in a few, 2 or 3 places, not most places. I've worked around a little bit, and undoubtedly the guys that we work with, the work ethic is unreal.
Yeah, that's
and it's such a strange. And I know advertising. I think in advertising we're all undervalued. We all don't get paid enough. We all work quite long hours, but we live quite a fun life. And there's certainly a load of perks of years gone by. So.
And I think the younger age range are more ambitious. That's why they do the crazy hours because that's what's the shift has been. They want to do more.
Because they know they can go from very little to superstardom in a short. You know, these unprecedented things, and I think you have an optimism as a young person. That means as a business, when you've got a business that's so bloody optimistic, like when the shit hits the fan, we've got this positivity, and I think it's refreshing. And there's challenges in. We have problems like with accountability, like things go wrong, and like, oh, okay. There's a bit of that.
Question for you, looping it back to education, because this came up actually at a Glug talk by a guy that used to work at Social Chain. Can't remember his name. I don't know if it was. Anyway, but what was really fucking interesting and that came up in the thing is he's like 24, right? And he was head of whatever their influencer said. And and someone said to him, and he didn't go to uni, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to your question of like, should people now go to uni, or should they start at 15 in agencies like yourselves, right? I mean,
if you're a
if
doctor,
you're in that,
but
if you're,
obviously we're not going to doctors that please, let's not start playing around.
But like in our industry, like imagine that. So basically, you come out of uni, you're against some kid that's been in there for 6 years. They've got 6 years experience. You know,
Real world
as long as
experience.
real world, been in an agency.
Yeah.
Like he's smashing it at 22, and you're like,
I think that's because that's the whole argument about university. And I'm the same as you. You want it for specific things.
Yeah.
Lawyers, doctors.
I think there's a lot of growing up, just that structure to leave home in a safe
But
environment.
I loved it, right? I loved it.
But you could do that and go and live with your
Of course
mates
you can.
and then
Of
work
course
in a
you can.
private agency.
I've always thought, right, if the government wants us idiots, they should sort out an apprenticeship thing whereby you can go and live in a different city.
Yeah.
Get the benefits of uni, which, to be honest, I didn't learn anything at uni really, apart from how to grow up, be allowed
That's
to
exactly
enjoy myself, a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd have been in an agency like yours, working 3 or 4 days a week, and then one day, that would have been about 40 times as many hours that I did at uni. But you know what I mean? Like, you would have learned so much.
I see where Glug came from.
Yeah, exactly.
Do
You know the actual backstory is that basically the only reason I set on my agency is I basically finished uni, got a bit bored, managed to finish it, but I was running.
Have you ever worked for anyone else?
No.
You always just in your own thing.
No, I did work for someone once. I got sacked after a few months, but so
What for? Okay, that's easy. What have you watching?
no, it's pretty bad. But the thing is, I basically was promoting nightclubs. So when I was in Nottingham, I finished up. I was running this guy's nightclub. Then I basically went on. I was running 13 nights a week. Everything from like the really cheesy student stuff to like the high-end sort of Renaissance and stuff like that. Everything in between. I thought I'm going to die if I carry on doing this. So Glug is sort of my little chance to continue to be a bit of a promoter.
Yeah.
You know, a bit.
I like
Yeah,
it.
a bit on the side, a bit of creativity.
Nice. So I think final thing.
Yeah.
Because we've all got to shoot.
Yeah.
And get on. You touched on it earlier, and we're going to try and do this with every podcast moving forward. What is your greatest or your favourite ad? You touched on ads before, and why? And what's your least favourite, and why? If you had to pick.
Oh, so that totally puts me on the spot. Can I recommend for future podcasts?
You
Really,
breathe
that's
them.
big.
You breathe them.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay,
like
no, that's fine.
Carry
So
on.
I'm going to go for
go on in.
not even
I'm interested.
worst, but I'm going to go for something I saw yesterday that I think's a bit interesting, and it's quite a mundane ad, but it made me think about the whole Brexit thing. Right, so Co-op have just done an ad. It's all around British meat, and it goes on about not only is it great to buy British meat, but you're feeding the families of British people, and you know their kids, and feel good about that and all that stuff. And I was sitting there thinking, oh God, that is where things are going to be going now. Like, if you buy Kenyan food, right, and
You're helping Kenyan families out.
you're helping people outside of Britain, and I do have a big concern about where creative advertising is going to
You
go.
think it's going to go very nationalistic?
much.
Yeah, all the people
Alright.
I speak to in marketing are like, it's all
And
going to
creativity
go back in,
divides.
and it's not going to be good for our industries because basically you won't get international clients because everything will
Yeah.
be too British. Shit.
That was a really good one. No
Yeah,
pressure
but
on the second
we haven't even thought of the second one. So
one. That was good. That was good.
What's the worst ad campaign you've done?
Oh, you know,
Nothing.
not many of them.
Oh.
No, one of the best. I say one of the best ads we did was, and you'll probably have to look back on the internet for this.
We'll
10
get
years
it.
old.
We'll get it to top.
Is PlayStation great films, film rooms. It's like projection mapping thing. It's the first time that anyone was really doing projection mapping well. We used like motion capture and all that different stuff. And that was like, you know, when virals didn't exist. And stuff like that. And it was massive. We still get loads of people emailing us from China.
Love
That's
that.
hard to go on TV with it now. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I will have a think and see if there's a better
Perfect.
one for you.
Ian,
But
thank
yeah,
you,
you
buddy.
Thanks very much. Ian.
pleasure. Thanks,
Please
chaps.
And we'll put all the Glug details, but if anyone wants to follow Glug on social, thanks very much. Thank you.
Peace.